there are 5 pillars upon which personal wealth rests. These pillars are not made of stone or metal, but of awareness, discipline, and right understanding. When even one pillar weakens, the entire structure begins to tremble. The first pillar is mindful earning. Wealth that is gained without integrity carries hidden cracks. If your actions harm others, deceive, or create unrest, the gold you gather will bring unease rather than peace. Earn in a way that allows you to sleep without fear and wake without regret. When your income is clean, your mind becomes light, and that lightness itself is a form of wealth. The second pillar is conscious spending. Many people believe poverty comes from earning too little, but often it arises from spending without awareness. Every coin that leaves your hand carries your life energy with it. Ask yourself before each expense, does this bring value or does it only satisfy a passing desire? The one who spends with awareness finds abundance even in simplicity, while the one who spends blindly feels poor even in plenty. The third pillar is disciplined saving. Just as a farmer sets aside seeds for the next season, a wise person keeps a portion of their earnings untouched. Saving is not an act of fear, it is an act of respect for the future. It is a quiet promise you make to yourself that tomorrow will not find you unprepared. Even small amounts, protected consistently, grow into strength over time. The fourth pillar is wise investing. Gold that sleeps does not grow. When placed with care and understanding, it begins to multiply. But remember, chasing quick gain is like chasing shadows. It leads to loss and disappointment. True growth comes from patience, knowledge, and calm decisions. Invest not out of greed, but out of clarity. The fifth pillar is inner contentment. Without this, all other pillars weaken. A person who is never satisfied will always feel poor, no matter how much they possess. Contentment does not mean stopping growth, it means not being enslaved by endless desire. When you learn to appreciate what you have, your wealth becomes complete. Guard these 5 pillars as you would guard a treasure chest, not with fear but with awareness. Watch your thoughts, your habits, and your choices. For it is not thieves from the outside that destroy most wealth, but carelessness from within. In the end, understand this deeply. Wealth is not just gold in your hand, but peace in your heart, clarity in your mind, and balance in your life. Protect these, and your treasure will never truly be lost. Wealth must be earned with integrity and honesty, because money gained through wrong actions brings stress instead of peace. Wealth that enters your life carries the imprint of how it was earned. If it is gathered through honesty, patience, and fairness, it brings with it a quiet peace that settles in the heart. But when it is gained through deception, harm, or selfishness, it carries an invisible weight. Even if the amount is great, the mind remains restless, always looking over its shoulder, always fearing loss or exposure. In this way, the method of earning shapes not only your wealth, but your inner world. Consider how a clear stream flows gently, nourishing everything in its path. This is like income earned with integrity. It supports life without disturbing it. But a polluted stream, though it may still flow, spreads harm wherever it goes. In the same way, wealth gained through wrong means slowly disturbs your peace, your relationships, and your sense of self. You may not notice it at first, but over time its effects become unavoidable. When you choose to earn honestly, you are not choosing the slow path, you are choosing the stable path. Stability creates confidence, and confidence allows you to move through life without fear. Even if your earnings are modest, they feel sufficient because they do not come with hidden costs. Your mind becomes lighter, your sleep becomes deeper, and your relationships become more genuine because nothing needs to be hidden or justified. There may be moments when dishonesty appears tempting, when shortcuts seem easier, and when others seem to gain more by bending the truth. In those moments, remind yourself that what is gained quickly can also disappear quickly. More importantly, it leaves behind a disturbance that cannot be measured in money. The loss of self-respect is far more costly than any financial gain. To earn mindfully is to remain aware of the impact of your actions, not just on yourself, but on others as well. When your work contributes positively, even in small ways, it creates a sense of purpose that goes beyond money. This purpose strengthens your spirit and adds depth to your life. In the end, wealth is not only what you accumulate, but what you are able to hold without inner conflict. When your earnings are clean, your heart remains calm, and a calm heart is the greatest treasure you can ever protect. Mindful spending is essential. Every expense should have purpose, not just fulfill temporary desires. Many people believe that wealth disappears only when income is low, but in truth, wealth often slips away silently through unconscious spending. It is not always the big expenses that weaken a person's financial foundation, but the small, repeated choices made without awareness. Each coin that leaves your hand carries a part of your time, your effort, and your life energy. When spending is guided by impulse rather than understanding, even a large income begins to feel small. Imagine a vessel filled with water that has tiny unseen holes. No matter how much water is poured into it, the vessel never remains full. In the same way, a life without mindful spending becomes a constant drain. The problem is not always what you earn, but what you allow to escape without purpose. When desire leads every purchase, satisfaction becomes temporary and the mind quickly looks for the next thing to buy, the next thing to chase. Mindful spending begins with a simple pause. Before allowing money to leave your hand, you ask yourself whether this purchase adds real value or only momentary pleasure. This small moment of reflection creates a powerful shift that transforms spending from an emotional reaction into a conscious decision. Over time, this habit builds financial clarity and emotional stability. There is also a deeper layer to spending. Every unnecessary expense is not just a loss of money, but a loss of attention. When the mind is constantly drawn toward consumption, it becomes restless and scattered. But when spending is controlled and intentional, the mind becomes calmer and more focused. You begin to appreciate what you already have instead of constantly seeking what you do not. True richness is not measured by how much you display, but by how wisely you use what is available to you. A simple life, guided by awareness, often feels more abundant than a life filled with excess but lacking control. In fact, the more carefully you observe your spending habits, the more you realize that much of what you once thought necessary was only habit or impulse. When spending becomes mindful, wealth is no longer something that constantly leaks away. Instead, it becomes something that supports your life steadily, like a well-balanced flow rather than a chaotic stream. In this balance, you discover a quiet sense of sufficiency that no unnecessary purchase can ever provide. Saving consistently, even in small amounts, builds long-term security and protects your future. Just as a farmer never consumes all the grain after harvest, a wise person does not spend all that is earned. Saving is not merely the act of keeping money aside, it is the practice of building safety, patience, and respect for the future. Life is uncertain, and no one can predict the exact shape of tomorrow. In such uncertainty, savings become a quiet shield that protects you when conditions change. When a person develops the habit of saving, they begin to relate differently to money. Instead of seeing it only as something to be spent, they begin to see it as something that can be nurtured. Even a small portion set aside regularly carries great power over time. Like drops of water slowly filling a pot, consistent saving gradually builds a foundation of stability that can support you in times of need. Many people overlook saving because they believe their current income is too small. But saving is not about the amount, it is about the discipline. A small amount saved with consistency is far more powerful than a large amount saved occasionally. It is the habit, not the size, that creates strength. When you train yourself to save even in times of comfort, you prepare yourself for times of difficulty. Saving also creates mental peace. When you know that something is safely set aside for emergencies, your mind becomes less anxious about the future. This sense of security reduces fear and allows you to make clearer decisions in the present. Without savings, even small challenges can create stress, but with savings, challenges become manageable. There is also wisdom in understanding that saving is not rejection of life's pleasures. It is balance. You are not denying yourself happiness, you are simply ensuring that future happiness is not sacrificed for present desire. This balance creates harmony between today and tomorrow, between enjoyment and responsibility. Over time, savings also become a source of opportunity. They give you the freedom to make choices without pressure. Whether it is education, health, travel, or unexpected needs, savings provide flexibility that dependence on immediate income cannot. In essence, saving is an act of respect for your future self, for stability, and for life's unpredictable nature. When you save with awareness, you are not restricting your life, you are strengthening it quietly, one thoughtful decision at a time. Smart and patient investing helps wealth grow, while greed and quick decisions often lead to loss. Wealth that is kept idle does not grow, just as water that is left still begins to stagnate. In the same way, money that is not guided with wisdom loses its potential over time. Investing is the art of giving your wealth direction, allowing it to move, develop, and return with growth. But this movement must be guided not by impatience or greed, but by understanding and calm awareness. When a person first begins to invest, there is often excitement. The idea of quick returns can appear attractive, promising rapid progress without delay. Yet experience shows that anything built quickly without a strong foundation is also easily lost. True investing requires patience, like a tree that takes time to grow roots before it can bear fruit. The deeper the roots, the stronger the tree stands in all seasons. Wise investing begins with learning. Without knowledge, money becomes vulnerable. Many people lose wealth not because opportunities are absent, but because decisions are made without clarity. Understanding where and how your money is used creates a sense of control. It removes fear and replaces it with awareness. When you know what you are doing, even small investments feel stable and purposeful. Another important aspect of investing is emotional balance. Markets, opportunities, and circumstances will always change. There will be moments of rise and moments of decline. If the mind is driven by fear during loss or greed during gain, decisions become unstable. A steady mind sees both gain and loss as part of the same flow. It does not rush forward in excitement nor retreat in panic. Instead, it observes and responds wisely. Investing is not limited only to financial instruments. It also includes investing in skills, education, relationships, and personal growth. When you improve your abilities, you increase your capacity to earn and sustain wealth. When you build strong and honest relationships, you create support systems that are invaluable in times of difficulty. These forms of investment often yield returns far greater than money alone. There is also importance in diversification, not placing everything in one place. Just as a farmer does not rely on a single crop, a wise investor does not depend on a single source. This balance reduces risk and increases stability. It allows life to continue smoothly even when one area faces difficulty. Ultimately, wise investing is not about chasing maximum profit, it is about creating steady growth with minimum disturbance. It is about allowing your wealth to work for you without losing your peace of mind. When investment is guided by patience, knowledge, and balance, it becomes not a gamble but a thoughtful path toward lasting stability and quiet prosperity. True wealth depends on inner contentment. Without it, no amount of money will ever feel enough. Even if a person gathers great wealth, saves carefully, and invests wisely, they will still face financial challenges. There remains one unseen pillar that determines whether they feel rich or poor within themselves. That pillar is contentment. Without it, wealth becomes endless hunger. With it, even simplicity feels complete. Contentment does not depend on the amount you have, but on the relationship you have with what you have. The mind, if left unchecked, is never fully satisfied. When one desire is fulfilled, another quietly takes its place. This constant movement creates an illusion that something is always missing. A person may continue to acquire more and more, yet still feel incomplete. This is because desire grows faster than possession. In such a state, wealth loses its meaning, becoming only a tool for temporary relief rather than lasting peace. Contentment is not the rejection of progress. It is not about stopping effort or abandoning growth. Instead, it is the ability to pause and recognize sufficiency in the present moment. It is understanding that life does not improve only by addition but also by appreciation. When you are content, you are no longer driven by restlessness but guided by clarity. A content mind transforms the experience of life. Simple things begin to feel valuable. A modest meal becomes nourishing. A small home becomes peaceful. A limited income becomes manageable. The outer world may remain the same, but the inner experience changes completely. This shift reduces anxiety, comparison, and dissatisfaction, which are often the true sources of suffering. Comparison is one of the greatest enemies of contentment. When a person constantly measures their life against others, peace becomes difficult to find. There will always be someone who appears to have more, achieve more, or display more. But comparison only creates distance from one's own reality. Contentment brings attention back to the present life, allowing a person to value their own journey rather than chasing another's path. Gratitude is closely connected to contentment. When you begin to notice what you already have, instead of focusing only on what is missing, the mind becomes calmer. Gratitude does not reduce ambition, it refines it. It allows ambition to exist without suffering, effort without frustration, and progress without inner conflict. In truth, contentment is the silent foundation of wealth. Without it, even abundance feels like lack. With it, even limited resources feel enough. It is the quiet understanding that life in this moment already holds more than enough for peace. When this understanding settles deeply within, wealth is no longer measured by numbers alone, but by the calmness of the heart that holds it.